If you're like me and struggle with chronic back pain, but you also have a toddler and are pregnant, check out this video for some easy, simple things that you can do to keep yourself mobile and more comfortable throughout your pregnancy. For my pregnancy wellness routine and comfort hack video, check this out. In case you haven't met yet, I'm Kalina. I'm a toddler mom and also a mom to an incoming baby girl at 30 weeks pregnant. And on my channel, we're keeping things really encouraging, keeping things informative, and talking about all things pregnancy, postpartum, mindset, conscious parenting, some other woo-woo, non-toxic, natural stuff. So if any of that resonates, go ahead and like and subscribe for new videos like this every week. I am 35 years old, 30 weeks pregnant, and I have struggled with back pain in some form or another for over 20 years. I'm not exactly sure where it started. I used to be an athlete doing taekwondo competitions, sparring competitions. I used to be a gymnast. I used to work at a dog boarding kennel with 180-pound dogs pulling me left and right on a leash. I probably lifted things that were too heavy for me and didn't really know how to do those proper lifting techniques. It really could be anything. I really don't know. It's hard to identify what the exact origin is of where and when, how the back pain actually started. In my worst moments through this back pain journey, I think in the last maybe 6 years, I was basically fully debilitated. There were days that I couldn't walk and I was just on my stomach on the floor in such bad pain. I had to call out for work. I couldn't be a functioning human being or take care of myself, get up to go to the bathroom. I was a hot mess. I got all the tests done through a chiropractor and then also through an actual orthopedist who specialized in back pain. And they basically just found a bulge disc in my L4, L5, which is extremely common. And many people have that, but don't actually present any symptoms whatsoever. I've been told a lot of really discouraging things, like I will have really terrible, debilitating back pain while I'm pregnant. Not true. That I will never be able to lift weights again. Not true. That I will never be able to do X again. And I feel like these health professionals instilled these really limiting beliefs into me. And I feel like my body sort of internalized that and held onto that and manifested a continuation of pain as a result of believing that I would never be well or live comfortably again. When you're relatively young, you're in your 20s, that's not something that you want to hear when you have the rest of your life ahead of you and you're typically a very healthy, active, well person. I listened to them, but I also knew that I'm the one who's in charge of my body and my own destiny and how I'm going to feel for the rest of my life. So I just decided to start trying and checking off the boxes of different things just to see if something might actually make a difference and could really help get me out of that hole that I felt like I was in. I'm going to share with you the things that I have tried that I can remember, and then I'll share with you my recommendations for things that worked the best and what I would recommend for someone in a similar position. I do feel like I have tried absolutely everything, and I really want to be candid about what I've done, at least that I can remember at 30 weeks pregnant, which I'm sure there will be a couple things that I'm forgetting, but I at least want to just be candid about what I've done and what works best for me in hopes that maybe you can try some of these things and that they'll work for you too. I have tried chiropractic, acupuncture, massage, physical therapy, pelvic floor physical therapy, hypnotherapy, blood platelet injections in my back, yoga, hot yoga, swimming, weightlifting, yin yoga, stretching, meditation, affirmations, visualizations, walking, and daily habitual changes in how I lift and twist and reach for things. The things that helped me the most out of all of those things were consistent chiropractic with massage. I really believe that the two do not play well without one another, because when someone's moving your bones, but the muscles are still really tight, I feel like you need another adjustment the second you walk out of the office. If someone can address those tight muscles as well as the bones and ligaments underneath them, I think that is a match made in heaven. Hot yoga. I definitely used to be a skeptic who would roll my eyes at one of my coworkers in another lifetime ago who swore by hot yoga to fix her back pain. And honestly, I think I just hadn't had my ass kicked enough in the back pain department to really be desperate enough to believe that something as simple as hot yoga could work. I did hot yoga. It was a kind of a Bikram style, about 26 positions, the same positions every single class in the same order twice in a row, the first being a little bit shorter and the second being about a 1 to 2 minute hold. I kid you not, within about 3 months, I had no back pain. Zero. My body felt like a noodle. I felt like my body was getting a hug from the inside. Everything felt aligned. Everything felt so loose. And I would go to bed in peace and comfort within my body for the first time in my, 15-year at that time back pain journey. And I would also wake up feeling excellent too. I should note that while I was doing hot yoga, I was also swimming about 4 or 5 times a week. And I really feel like the combination of the weightlessness and the resistance and movement that I got in the water mixed with the mobility of the Bikram type of series hot yoga just made such a huge difference in my back pain, where it literally reduced it to zero. The other thing that just worked really well for me that took a long time to really understand and establish in my daily life was just those everyday lifting and bending and twisting habits. The other aspect that I think was so important in reducing that pain down to nearly zero was getting on more of an anti-inflammatory, organic whole foods diet. By eating whole foods and just making things at home so that I could know exactly what ingredients were in them, it really made a difference in how my body felt and just bringing down that inflammation that had accumulated in my body over such a long period of time. Let's talk about where I'm at now in the back pain journey. Being pregnant, I'm not able to do hot yoga, but it is something that I'm definitely going to do the second I recover and feel like that's something that I'm up for again postpartum. My gym doesn't have a pool anymore, so I'm not able to swim, and I wish I could because I really feel like that's so great, especially while you're pregnant. And feeling weightless while you're pregnant, I mean, seriously, you can't beat that. So instead, I'm doing a physical therapy inspired routine at home basically every day. It starts with a walk in the morning. I do a 1 to 2 mile walk just to keep things loose and get some of that movement in first thing in the morning. Next, I do a 10 to 15 minute mobility routine that includes things like stretches, lunges, some yoga poses, and I also do some glute activation as well because the glute and the hips are just so tied together that if you kind of address that area holistically along with the core, it really helps to balance out that back pain and just feel like it's stretching, mobile, and also strong at the same time. Another thing that I'm doing right now is sitting on a pregnancy ball, and I'm bouncing on it right now. This pregnancy exercise ball is so great because it gives you that rest and makes me feel like I can just sit down and hang out without feeling like my body is just clamming and cramping up, which is totally what it feels like if I sit down for probably more than 30 minutes at a time. I'm also much more conscious of just everyday proper lifting techniques after working with so many different physical therapists, researching different things online, and also just seeing what kind of feels like an impingement or a hindrance in my body and kind of course correcting throughout the day as I'm just doing different tasks throughout my house. I have a wiggly toddler who's nearly 40 pounds, and we are constantly roughhousing and playing together, and I can still do those things, but I just have to be more mindful of how I'm doing them. I squat and come down to something that I need to lift, bringing it close to my body. So when I go over to my son, instead of picking him up when he's far away, I walk over to him, make sure that he's kind of up against my body, and lift from a squatting or a kneeled kind of lunge position. If my toddler is really going wild and it's just feeling too intense, I might just redirect him to a different type of play that isn't so physically demanding. So I used to hold him and spin him a lot, and sometimes that would feel a little bit touch and go, especially if he was super wiggly. So if that's too much, then maybe I'll just put him on the ground and ask him to stand, and we'll hold hands and we'll spin that way instead, just to take some pressure off of my back. I also enlist the help of my very strong and capable husband to lift the heavy things instead of just being super stubborn and lifting them myself. Another thing that's really helped is just to take breaks between different tasks. So if I have a house that's a full mess, I can't expect to feel comfortable and pain-free if I'm going to take care of and address all of those areas in one fell swoop. I have to be strategic and pick something that I really care about and just stick to that one thing, and then make sure that I'm taking a break so that my body can recover in between the next task. I might sweep the floors, I might do the dishes, clean the counters, and that's enough. I need to go and take a little rest. I'll bounce on my pregnancy ball and maybe throw an ice pack on my back just to kind of get ahead of some of that inflammation. Another general takeaway for me has just been to keep moving. So it doesn't really matter what the routine is. It just matters that you're not sitting on a couch all day or laying in bed all day, even if things aren't feeling good in the back. I've just found that the more sedentary I am, the more my body kind of believes that that's all that it is good for and can do. So it tends to kind of stay in that really stiff, immobile state for a longer period of time. Some mobility with the help of physical therapist advice can really just help you start feeling normal and give you some tools that you need to actually get ahead of that pain so that when you feel something's coming on, you don't have to wait until it's emergency to actually right side the ship and start feeling like yourself again. Hopefully this video gave you some encouragement and some ideas of things that you can do to reduce some chronic back pain, especially in a pregnant and a toddler season of life. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe for new videos just like this every week. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.